Hey everybody, this is two EdTech guys take great questions and share cool stuff. And we are excited to spend a little bit of Friday with you, because if you have been teaching online all week and you're fairly new to online teaching, you're probably like, oh man, do I need a little fun on Friday? And we managed to combine that with some really cool ideas for helping kids see new possibilities in themselves, which we think is cool. Let's get out some thank yous. We do thank yous every week because that's the right way to live. Thanks, Richard, for being my teammate in making this happen every week. If you haven't taken time to look at Free Technology for Teachers or practicaledtech.com, these are sites you got to see. And as we always do, we take the recording of this and we put it on the Next Vista webinars page, along with, it gets better, links that we mention and these slides. Whoa! What does it cost? Nothing. Whoa! So anyway, so that's how fun this is. All right, and then we also want to say hey to all the Fowler Unified folks, all the cool folks in Jerome, you know, my peeps up at Fall City Academy and Jerome High School and Summit Elementary. Love you guys. All right, and we are happy to meet you. So I'm going to have Richard introduce himself first. Actually, there's my slide, but let's go back one. Richard, talk to us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Richard. You probably know me from freetechforteachers.com or Practical EdTech, or maybe my YouTube channel, which seems to have gotten some popularity lately. I taught high school social studies for many years, took half a dozen years working on the road with schools all over the world, and now I'm back home because I have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old at home, and I'm teaching computer science at the high school, the vocational school down the road from me.
Very nice. And as for your YouTube channel, I don't think I've watched a YouTube video of yours in hours. You know, like it's been that long, right? So lots of good stuff there for sure. I am a former high school teacher. I taught Japanese language. I was a K-12 principal and then an online high school principal. And now I run a little shindig called Next Vista for Learning. I've been running this educational nonprofit for 15 years. And it's got a big library of videos, a library of videos by and for teachers and students everywhere, all free. So feel free to give that a look. I'd be happy to talk to you more about it if you are curious. Why do we do these webinars? Because we got to keep the learning going, right? There are all kinds of ways to fall down on the job of keeping kids inspired. And, you know, we're seeing kind of both ends of the spectrum as we move forward. But our goal is to help you be someone who says, you know, I'm going to find a way to inspire these kids. And that's why we do what we do. And so what's going to happen is we're going to share a couple of things, and then we're going to take questions. And we got some great questions that have come into us. And we've got a bunch of cool people in the chat who, if they have any questions at all, we will address those. So let's get this started with Richard's quick share. Richard, and toss your link into the chat as well, because
I was just about to do that.
Good man,
so,
good man.
yeah, we're on the same page. We're like, all right. So this cool tool is called OFEE, OFEE.com. The reason I'm sharing it is it was made by 3 high school students who were looking for a way to share online experiences and make, they're calling them experiences. I talked with one of the kids this morning and his mom, who works at Microsoft. We had a little conference call this morning. It was great, super smart, sophomore in high school. And what the service does is it lets you set up these online experiences that you offer to other people. So it could be something as simple as a 15-minute live tutorial on Google Classroom, or a 15-minute yoga session that you're going to offer online to people, and they can sign up. You can say, I want to have one-on-one, one-on-two, one-on-three, whatever. And here's the cool part. I think you'll like this, Rushton. You can say that you want all proceeds to go to a charity of your choice. So you can say it's going to cost $5 for you to join my live session, but all the proceeds are going to go to the charity of your choice. So pretty cool little thing. Super smart kid that I talked to this morning. Jacob is his name. Just an awesome service. I'm going to do a little experience on it next week, just to give it a full run and to let people know about it. But it's super cool, and I love stuff the kids make like this. Yeah, so super cool little thing.
And so do they take a small percentage to kind of keep the business going, which is fine. I mean,
Yeah. So if you charge for it, they do have a small transaction fee.
mhm.
If you are doing it 100% for charity, they waive that.
Ah,
And if you offer a free event, they don't have any transaction fee. It's
that's
real.
pretty cool.
They're. It's new.
Yeah.
They're in proof of concept stage right now. More than anything else, they're in proof of concept stage, I think. Um, but they've got some backing from friends and family to keep it going. And yeah, just to, I love stuff like this. I know you do. You do as well.
Okay.
The kid reminded me of another high school student I spoke to about 6 or 7 years ago, who had created Vocabulist. Some of you might remember Vocabulist.
I do vaguely remember vocabulary.
Yeah, he was a high school student down in Florida, Ahern Mahutra, and he ended up going to Harvard and now is developing some like super finance thing. But cool stuff.
Very cool indeed. Ofi.com.
Yeah,
Turns out that domain name was available.
that's kind of what it was. The idea was like having coffee with somebody, but anything related to coffee is a super expensive domain to buy.
I love it. And you're always, anytime you're thinking about like, well, how can this business, this organization, this effort, whatever it is, this fundraising, activity be distinctive in some way? And to say, okay, we're going to offer online lessons is like, yeah, I've seen it before. But there's the charitable angle. And I think that's really cool. And I love that this is a time when kids can have these ideas and can act on them, right? That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, so I'll add, the mom that I spoke to today, Irina, who is a product engineer at Microsoft,
Mhm.
she is offering through it free virtual interview coaching
Hey, that's cool.
for for people who are interviewing for tech jobs and want to know like how what's the process like, or do you want some advice. She's doing that for free through the service.
Nice. We'll need to reconnect on that later. I need to get her to speak to my online Rotary Club.
Yeah.
Make that happen as well.
Cool.
Hip. So my quick share is an art gallery, and so I was taking a friend up to the Napa area. We were driving around some months ago, just kind of taking this area. And I walk into this gallery and there are these stunning pictures, right? Some of those where you think, wow, man, I wish I had like unlimited funds and could buy a bunch of these. Of course, like walked out mostly with an email address, but still, it was like, these are really, really good. Now, let's take a look at this particular site. So what I'm doing is actually not taking to the main page on the site. Instead, we're going to a particular exhibit called Intimate Expanse. It sounds like, oh, can't be for my student. No. It's not that kind of intimate, right? And so you find these different pictures and you click on them. And so it's got this material. A lot of them have stories alongside as well. So first you're just kind of blown away by how cool the visuals are. But when you find them with stories attached to them, you can kind of get in that space of like, oh, all right, this is the kind of thing that can make for a good lesson. When you look at this and you see this story, where would you start filling in gaps in the story, right? So if the story is only a paragraph or two, there's clearly a lot that you can work into it in terms of creativity. Anything that represents a cool visual becomes an opportunity to say to students things like, how does this picture relate to what we studied? And when there is no obvious connection, that generates good discussions about what they understand in terms of the fundamental concepts of what you're covering, right? Because you're always looking for ways to get the kids to describe where they're having trouble with whatever it is you're teaching. And in doing it like this, where it's like, what connections do you have, as opposed to what don't you understand? And then they don't want to raise their hands because who wants to do that? But then they start, going through it and they talk with each other about these ideas. You can validate creative responses all day long, even if they've got wrong ideas about the content, which you now know about and can work to correct, right? In some tactful way. So that for me is like a cool way to just use images, right? And I find all kinds of cool stuff that's out there in terms of that space. And big fan of things like Google Arts and Culture for the same reason. Why not use,
Right.
great art from centuries past to get kids, thinking in interesting ways about, the next math problem. I mean, why not, right? So there are our two cool shares. We have a special page on my site set up to share the shares, right? And so I will get both of these up on our site in the minutes between finishing our recording and sending out the emails to everybody who went to the trouble of registering to say, hey, it's there and ready to go. So you will find all those things in the emails I send you. And if you are watching this as some recording because somebody pointed you to it, come to our page, register. We'd love to be able to share this cool stuff we're doing. All right. We're going to deal with some questions because we got some good ones this week. Richard, those that you brought up, I was like, man, those are some good questions. So you want to get us started on those?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm bringing them up in the background. I had to change computers, so I brought them up in the background here. Let's start with this one from Miss Caputo. I'm going to probably mispronounce that. But anyway, I recall seeing a post promoting two tools that allow you to take words, sentences, and make them into a professional looking video. As I recall, the tool adds pictures automatically. I don't know what keyword to search, nor can I think of the name of the tool either. I'm attempting to recruit students and educate parents about our program. I think this would be perfect. Can you help? Yes, I can help. I think the tool you're looking for is called Lumen 5, LUMEN 5.com. I'll put that in the chat. Lumen5.com.
I'll get that in the chat.
I can't type and talk at the same time because I'd make it a horrible.
Got you back, man. No problem.
What's that court person? Court stenographer. I'd be terrible at that. I'd have to practice in the park or something. So anyway, Lumen 5 lets you take any blog post you've written, really anything you've written online. So it could be a public Google Doc if you wanted to. Paste that link in there, and it will detect the words that match to nice visuals, nice pictures, and create this audio slideshow video for you with chunks of your, like the keywords from your text will appear on the slide with some nice pictures and adds in music in the background. Really kind of neat. Cool tool.
So I would certainly say that the thing that I just love about these kinds of tools is that it allows kids to get into a space of really thinking through what kind of videos they want to make. So trying to put together these simple videos where they don't have to think, for hours and hours and hours about what the visuals will be, but instead you really come down to a focused message, right? What is the message you want to share? Does that show that you understand the concepts we're covering? Does it show connections to other things in a way that allows me to know that you're taking these to the next level? And if you need help with that, we're going to get together and we're going to talk through these ideas. So no problem. Those kinds of things are great. Another tool that is a step up from that is one of my favorites, Adobe Spark. All right. And I talk about Adobe Spark every chance I get because that is a tool, a video making tool that I have watched teachers who are kind of about tech look at it and go, that I'll use, right? Like that's their response, right? Because it's that easy and it's genuinely free. Even though it's from Adobe, it's free. I mean, Adobe's a great crowd and all, but got some expensive software out there. So if you go to spark.adobe.com, and we'll get that in the chat as well, you can create some really cool videos that way. Take us to the next question, Richard.
I will. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, because the Zoom desktop client is completely frozen on my computer right now. So I'm going a little bit blind, and I'm just going to kind of go with it. And when you tell me to stop talking, I will, because I can't see any visual cues from you right now. So anyway, next question came from Naomi. My students are preparing their TED-style talks for Genius Hour that we would normally deliver online on stage in our auditorium. Since we've made the transition to remote learning, I'm thinking of using Flipgrid for students to record screencasts of their talks so they can receive feedback. The idea would certainly work for those who worked alone. However, I'm not sure the best solution for a screencast for partners where we can see both students during the entire talk. We use Zoom for class, so I know that's a possibility. Wonder if you have any other ideas. Yeah, so quickest, easiest way probably is to use Zoom. Let's say that. However, there are other options out there. There's a tool called Vmix, the letter V, M-I-X, Vmix, and they offer a free version of it that lets you import 4 different sources at the same time remotely, so that you can have someone in a different room or different place in the world and blend it all together into one stream. That might be a nice option if you want to have students, standing up and presenting as if they were presenting to an auditorium, as opposed to sitting in a chair and talking into Zoom. So Vmix might be an option. The other option is XSplit, the letter X, and Split. That's another software you could use where you could blend in multiple sources. That said, both have a bit of a steep learning curve to them. So if you're just going for quick and easy, Zoom might be your best choice.
All right, so looked at both of those, and I couldn't tell from XSplit right off, but with Vmix, it looks like you can get a free trial, but it's a paid tool. Is that is that accurate?
No, there's a free version of it that is limited, but would be sufficient for this.
Like a lot of companies, they don't go to a lot of trouble to let you know about the free version first.
Right.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. I love that question in part because the group that I've got right now, I've got a set of students in a class called Creative Solutions for the Global Good, right? And their big projects for the year are coming up in 2 weeks. So like we're going to do their big presentations, and I wanted to speak to kind of the nature of the question as opposed to the tool. We're going to do it in Zoom, but when you think about this, Flipgrid's a fantastic tool. You can do loads of great things in Flipgrid. But having an audience for these kinds of presentations is pretty nice, right? And so one of the reasons that we're doing it in Zoom is because we want to invite the families in. We've got the principal, the president of the school, the development director, like campus ministry folks. I mean, like all these different folks who are going to be joining in to celebrate what these kids have come up with over the course of the last 6-7 months. So thinking in terms of getting them an audience, Zoom, Google Meet, even Facebook Live or YouTube Live and things like that, are options. I would encourage you to look at a screencasting tool for practice, where they're thinking about their visuals for the things they're going to do, they're going to share, and spend plenty of time getting them to talk to each other about what kinds of things they see when the others are presenting. Because between now and whenever the presentations happen, this is some of the best learning that happens from them all year because the pressure's on, right? So I would encourage that. Cool, Richard.
And on that note, I'd point out that Microsoft's web version of PowerPoint has a tool called Presenter Coach that will give students or anyone using it instant feedback on how fast they're speaking and how many filler words they use. So if they say every 3 sentences, it will tell them that, and it tells them how fast they spoke during their practice as well. So definitely a cool tool to check out. It is only available in the web version of PowerPoint right now. A lot of people don't know that there is a web version of PowerPoint. Go to PowerPoint.com. You can sign in with your Microsoft account and you can use it.
Now, with that, have you tried that with students where they're actually going through and catching things as they talk in order to figure out, wow, that's how it sounds?
I haven't had a chance to try it with my own students because we're a G Suite school, and I just haven't had the chance to use it. But I think it's a cool tool, and I'd love to. Probably next year I'll use it because my computer science students, my comp tech students, they actually do have a big thing we do in the middle of the year called our tech showcase, where they do give presentations. And for a lot of my students, it's pretty nerve-wracking and is a kind of experience that, you know, not to generalize too much, but computer tech people, comp sci people, we're not always known for embracing the crowd, if you will. So, you know, it's good to have that practice and see that practice in a kind of a comfortable environment, I think. So.
Right. I mean, so many kids, they're kind of that close to being able to handle presenting to others. They just need the practice, right? And finding ways to do that kind of to build them up to that, really scaffold their way to kind of more major presentations is always a good move. Let's do another question.
All right. So we had a question from Nancy, who, by the way, I cannot see the chat. So if there's a question in the chat, let me know.
Got it.
Nancy says, is there a way to make a Gmail email look like a constant contact email? I work in a small school and love it if we could add even a color background to email. So I don't know of, believe it or not, I don't know of any way to do that in Gmail. And I'm going to point out that if you, depending on how big your mailing list is, but generally the rule of thumb is anything more than 200 people CC'd or BCC'd on an email out of Gmail is going to raise some flags in spam filters. So keep that in mind. To that end, a workaround on this, ConvertKit, which is the service that I use for all of my mailing lists, and I've got 32,000-ish people on the mailing list. I use ConvertKit. They have a free plan that allows you to handle up to 500 people on your, so you can have 500 people, and you can do all kinds of customizations. You could do you could do all kinds of banners and templates and whatnot. I don't, because I am not a graphic designer and I don't have time to do that. But you could certainly do that with ConvertKit. They've got templates for that. I'll also point out that MailChimp also has a free plan that handles, I believe it's 500, might even be 1,000 people that you can use for free. And the benefit, I will point out, the benefit of using an email service like one of those, and you probably know this as well, Rushton, is that you can tag and identify people in that mailing list. So, for example, with ConvertKit, I could tag all my first grade parents. Say, okay, this parent, and then when I want to send an email just to first grade parents, I can just say, select the tag, first grade parents, boom, it goes just to first grade parents. I don't have to send something to all the school, right? And I can also look at, okay, who's opened, who hasn't opened this email, should I resend it? There's a lot of that cool stuff. And you use something similar, right? What do you use?
So I use a service called Vertical Response, all right? And it's a lot like Constant Contact. It's one where, you know, as a nonprofit, I actually can send up to 10,000 addresses for free each month.
Oh wow!
Which is pretty cool. I mean, they're good to nonprofits for sure. But you know, good service, and it allows you to differentiate by saying, you know, these groups, send to everybody, schedule it for these times. Coming back to the question, you know, if you're just looking for I got 20 parents and I want to send them something that looks better in their Gmail. One thing you could do is to go into Google Slides, change the orientation of the slide from landscape to portrait. Then, you know, kind of trick out the slide however you want, you know, make it look as good as you want, and then export it as an image, and then send the image. Now, nothing's going to be kind of clickable there, right? Well, you could make the image a link to one thing, but if you just want, you know, something to be more colorful and to have some images in it and stuff like that, that'd be one way to do it. You could use Google Drawing to do something similar, probably. But slides I find to be just one of those wildly useful tools that it's like our brains, right? We only use like this small percentage of it or whatever it might be. Yeah. Richard, I bet we got time.
If you export that slide as a PDF, then your links could be clickable inside that.
True. But it wouldn't, would it look? It wouldn't look in the email like a PDF though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although you could make the image go to the slide page. The slide page could be present instead of like edit, right? And then they'd be able to follow it that way as well. So there's a lot of possibilities for you with that. Richard, I think we got time for one more question. You got one for us?
One more. Let's see. I'm sure we do. Here it was. I'm just starting out using technology and teaching, learning, and my discipline is geography. Any guidance on how to teach map reading using Google Earth? So, I love Google Earth.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I should point out there are two versions of Google Earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's the desktop version, which they call Google Earth Pro, and it's still free, even though it's called Pro. And there's the web version of it. The Pro version, desktop version, has way more features in it than the web version, but the web version is catching up.
I did a webinar with Susan Stewart just in the last couple of weeks called Explore the World. And there are tons of ideas about geography and guidance on doing all kinds of things to get kids imagining, their place in the world and places around the world and things like that. So I will get that link in the chat for us. So with that, I am going to wind things down. A reminder that, why do we do these things? We keep the learning going. And how do we do that well? Well, we do it by getting in touch with the things that we're here to do, which is to care for our kids, right? Care for their learning. And in order to do that well, care for ourselves. Make sure that you are eating right and getting some exercise and getting plenty of sleep and taking care of yourself right now, because our kids need us to be there for that kind of thing. As always, love it when people will sign up for the newsletter. There are all kinds of cool tidbits that I include in my monthly newsletter. The May one will come out in the next few days, so feel free to take a look at that. I have a blog at rushtonh.com. I've written books on how to make your teaching all the better through very, very short chapters to be like, oh, okay, I'm wolfing down lunch, reading this 3-page chapter, I'm going to try it in the afternoon. Exactly the idea. And then also working with your colleagues to make your school better. And then my most recent book came out in December called Technology, Teamwork, and Excellence from NCEA. And if you decide, okay, I'm going to have my team like do a book study on one of these books, you let me know. I'll be happy to video chat with you guys for free. Just as a thank you for doing that. Richard, I'm on the page for Practical EdTech. Why don't you tell about that?
So I just announced yesterday the Practical EdTech virtual summer camp is going to happen 3 times this summer. Usually I invite people to come to Maine and hang out with me for a couple of days at a really cool little resort, but this year can't do that. So I'm offering it in a virtual format. You can check that out at practicaledtech.com. And I, of course, have a newsletter. If you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get a link to my free Practical EdTech handbook. So check that out. Or go to my aforementioned YouTube channel, and you can find all kinds of things, including this week, I made 5 things not to do on a Zoom meeting. That was just...
I will be checking that one out for sure. Very, very nice. You can also find Richard on Twitter at rmbyrne, B-Y-R-N-E. And as we finish up, let's just say that you can always find out information about our webinars at tinyurl.com/rh-webinars20. And we hope that you have gotten some good ideas from this recording. We hope that you are kind of in that space where you're like, okay, I'm going to try some of these with my kiddos. We're going to see what we can do. And we also hope that you'll tell us how it went and that you'll join us for next week's episode. So we will see you next Friday.